Hey, this is Car Stars and everything in between. He is the star, Richard Mazzy, Schultz Ford, schultzford.com. I'm Bubba from 100.7 Star, and we have a story and a star that we want to talk to you that we can't wait for you to meet. Drew Lynch, welcome to Car Stars and everything in between.
Thanks, Bubba. Wow, what an intro. I appreciate that.
How about that?
Welcome. I'll be honest with you. I did some research. I had to do some research. And as I was doing my research, you captivated. Now, I'm going to, I guess, go a little bit ahead. You're a comedian known for your self-deprecating humor, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hate myself. Go ahead.
And you know the greatest part about that? The greatest part about that, people will say, wow, why? They're the people that like you are the people with the most confidence. They're not the people that actually are down on themselves. They have, you to me, display such confidence. And then when I understand your story, it really makes sense to me because you did have, you began something, you got injured, you turned it into something, and here you are now. And I saw the way you captivated Howard Stern's heart, Simon, I mean, Howie Mandel. You captivated, you didn't just entertain them. You had their heart, and that was really big to me. Can you take us through like the beginning of when you started this current career, why you started it, and where you'd like to end it?
Oh man, I want to end it right after this interview. I think this is how you go out.
And
Well,
this
that's
is
kind of how I felt.
the highlight of your
That's
career.
it.
Congratulations. Welcome to it.
I was just waiting for that one thing. Honestly, I prayed, and it came quick. In 20 minutes, it'll all be done. Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, very, very nice of you to say that I'm confident. I will try to embody that now, knowing that you feel that way about me. I started, man, it's so long ago, and I've told this so many times. So I try to forgive me while I try to just make sure that I'm telling it in an authentic way, because to me, it's just so, I don't want it to sound like it's rudimentary just because it's such a part of my it's just been something I've just told so many times, but it really is integral to, I guess, why I carry myself the way I do now. And I'm not anything to write home about. I've tried to be candid with myself about where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are, where I've how I even got into stand up to begin with. And for me, I moved out to Los Angeles when I was 18 years old, and I was out here doing the whole acting thing. I don't know how you like. I don't know what you kind of measure as far as the first year out in LA as success, but in my first year out here, I landed an agent and a manager, and they had gotten me some pretty sweet acting gigs. I looked really, really young, so I was very castable for Disney type stuff, and then I worked at a comedy club. I loved the fact that like it was a night job. I could have it available to have my days free to do auditions, and it was like the perfect thing just because I got to be around comedy and see it. It was never something I ever wanted to like do as far as stand up. I always admired it. My dad and I kind of bonded over what stand up was, and they had a recreational softball league that they had there, and so I joined, and they were like, "Hey, we need girls," and I was like, will I work? And they're like, you've got the exact, this is co-ed, and so the fact that you're on the team makes it that way. And I was like, thanks. And so then to kind of speed this along, I had a softball injury. The impact of a softball had kind of damaged my vocal cords. I had a temporary paralysis in my vocal cords from vocal contusion that I had, but I'd fallen and hit my head on the ground, and I had it was a concussion that was diagnosed at the time, but it was a TBI when went back later with a neurologist and ran some. They did a bunch of
What's a
scans. And like, yeah,
TBI? Drew, what's a TBI?
Traumatic brain injury. And I like the fact that it wasn't just a brain injury. If it was
It had to
traumatic,
be
I like
traumatic.
it had to be. Honestly, it's a great time to have trauma these days. And the fact that it was medical is huge. It could have just been a brain injury, but they were like, no, this is traumatic for you. You're
Yeah, it's great.
You're damaged goods. That's what
You're
they said.
special.
Yeah.
And so it changed everything for me. It changed everything for me because my everything on the acting front, they were like, well, just come back when you get better. I couldn't audition anymore. I didn't have control of my speech, or I had no connection on the left side of my body for my motor skills. It kind of just shook my my nervous system.
But how did it manifest to you? Like, how did that show itself? Aside from just knowing that injury occurred, what happened to you?
Yeah.
What did you do?
So, I developed a pretty severe stutter. I was,
you never had a stutter before the traumatic brain injury.
Thank you, Bubba, for saying it exactly as it was written. Yes, I never had that. Most people who experience stutters, they've had it either from childhood.
I've had it my entire life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
without the ability of saying I had a traumatic brain injury, because I didn't.
Oh, yeah. So, well, you got to get one. It's all the rage. But honestly, I consider myself very, I didn't at the time, but with lots of time kind of in foresight, there's perspective, but, I consider myself lucky because a lot of people who experience stuttering, they grow up with it. And so they have to deal with, like, feeling ostracized because of it and trying to find themselves while dealing with it. And, here I was, someone who was much, much later in life, and I would say probably overly confident in for whatever reason. I don't consider myself to be a bad person at the time, but just someone who thought that I was better than. And so, I guess that injury came at it was
a humbling moment for you. Or how long were you down and out?
Down and out.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't even know.
From the point that you had your TBI to the point you were back working, what was that length of time?
The comedy club that had employed me, they kept me employed. Like, they didn't want they didn't want a lawsuit. So they were like, you can just, take whatever you want. They didn't feel like it was, they didn't feel like it was something that was, they thought it was funny. Like, they were like, hey, you work at the ticket booth, and now you're the slow guy who works the ticket booth.
Wow. Well, listen, we're just talking to Drew Lynch. By the way, he's coming to town. We'll tell you more about that on June 7th. He's coming to Pittsburgh. More with Drew Lynch, comedian, and his TBI and more when we return. This is Cars, Stars, and everything in between on 100.1 FM, AM 1020, KDKA.
And we're still recording as we after we're on the break, right?
Yep, we're still going live.
We're still going live.
Yep.
Your story is pretty cool, Drew.
Thanks. I sometimes struggle trying to tell it in a way that's like, man, I haven't told this a million times, but it's it's just.
Well, for us, it's not. So so it's just really entertaining, and you have such an engaging personality. So, are we ready, Bubba?
Here we go. 100.1 FM, AM 10. 100.1 FM, AM 1020, KDK. This is Cars, Stars, and everything in between. Richard Bazzi, Bubba from 100.7 Star, and our star today is Drew Lynch. I do have one question for you, and then I'll get out of the way, Drew, and I need advice from you, and this is 100% serious. I am very self-deprecating. I know no other way. I literally love when people don't, like, I'd rather read complaint email on the air versus having somebody tell me how much they love me. I get in trouble with my boss for every single meeting I'm in for being self-deprecating, and he tells me I have to stop. I need you to provide me a defense for my next meeting with him.
I think you need to talk with your boss in a way that's, I mean, like, that guy doesn't, he doesn't, I mean, you could easily be somebody who's a nightmare. Like, you could be somebody who's like, I'm the boss. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think you should do, Bubba. I think you should say, you're right, boss. I'm the boss. I deserve so much more than how I've been treating myself, that I will use your position and your advice against you to promote me. And then you fire him on the spot. And you say, listen, you lowly. Yeah, that's it. And you say, listen, you lowly nothing. And he's like, oh, you're right. He's like, oh, you're right. I do hate myself. And you're like, don't talk about how you hate yourself. And then you use the advice that he gave you back on him, but you still are now his boss. And that's pretty much easy.
I dare you.
I will guarantee you I will use it on our Wednesday meeting. Drew Lynch is the best. Richard, take it away from here. That's all I got.
How do you follow that? Drew, I will tell you, I watched some of those clips from AGT, America's Got Talent, and that's what I was referring to earlier, that, I mean, you really captivated the hearts. But my question to you watching that is funny, but how much of that stutter was real and how much of it was enhanced?
Well, that was not a question I feel like I was expecting, but I think, yeah, I know it's coming from the right place, but I've never fabricated or
no, I don't mean that, but like, was it like that was really your stutter? Because it seemed like I couldn't tell.
Yes, I mean, I don't know how to. I mean,
so hold on, Richard. Are you asking? Did he fake his stutter for America's Got Talent?
No, I just wondered if it became, due to the pressure of performing, if that was the way he would normally have been.
Well, I think that America's Got Talent was definitely the biggest stage that I had done at the time, and it's funny because even like I can't watch clips back, even like I can't watch clips even like recently, like that's tough, but like back then, I mean, it was so pronounced. And I've worked with my speech therapist for years, and that was one of the places she wanted to start, because she was like, you are using, like, she was like, everything that you're doing is wrong. Like, she's just, you're putting so much pressure on your actual voice box that these are hurting you. Like, you're actually hurting your body, and I think the pressure that I had felt from those performances, I just kind of internalized and put into one area. And so, like it was such a high stakes situation, which I think exacerbates and anybody who is dealing with something like that. But that was just such bad technique. It was just something that I've had to learn over the years, especially in sustaining a career where there is, if you have to perform every night, and it's for, an hour plus, and sometimes two, I really had to go back and try to rework what it was that I was doing incorrectly, because I just didn't know how to use my instrument.
Drew, when you got the golden buzzer, did you realize what was happening in the moment? Were you like, oh my God, what's happening right now?
Yeah, I had no idea. I thought I won the show. That's how delusional I was. there was confetti. I thought it was cash. Literally, they hit a thing because this is the first golden buzzer ever. Like, right? So I didn't know what a golden buzzer was. I just know how he hit a button, and then stuff started flying at me, and I was just like, oh, I won. I did one joke, and it was so good. They were like, here's $1 million, and it's all at your feet, and it's in your clothes.
And you got to pick them all up.
Yeah, you got to pick it up too. Do it and that's
those money
that's the
grabbing
catch.
machines.
Yeah, you can take as much as you can carry. I would have left with $40. I would have left with, if it was money. I have tiny hands, and I'm like a Labrador. I would have just been distracted by the shiniest part that got close to me. Never grab in the air, by the way. Anytime there's money grab, don't go right for the ground. People spend all this time. You see it all the time. Oh, there's money. It's this way. Idiots. Go right to the ground.
I won't be throwing money.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be out there picking it up.
So you tell us the information about your show that's coming to Pittsburgh on June 7th, because I think everybody needs to come out and see you.
Yeah. So I will be. I'm there. I think it's Friday, June 7th. I think. Right. Yeah. So just outside of I think Pittsburgh, and I love coming to Pittsburgh because people they day drink and you can't tell. And that's impressive. I genuinely think that's impressive. They'll be open about it too. Like they'll be like, I've been drinking since like 2 weeks ago. And you're like, that's insane. He's like, yeah, sorry, my sister got married and I just never stopped. And you're like, okay.
And by the way, you're going to be at the Carnegie of Homestead Music Hall on the 7th, which is literally right down the street from where Richard Bazzi was born and raised.
Yes, that's what we hope to do.
I learned how to swim there.
You can go visit Richard Bazzi's childhood home when you're in town on June 7th.
That's where I'm staying. It's on Airbnb. I can't believe they advertised it that way. I was like, this is where he slept.
I love
this is
you.
where he was baptized.
You are a really funny guy.
So, not only seeing you live in person, but you also have the Did I Stutter podcast. So whether it be live or on stage or in your podcast, what can they expect? A lot more of this, or do you go down other routes?
Oh, dude, it's exactly like this, but worse. I wouldn't go, honestly. I would stay just wherever you live. If you sit on your porch, because you know you have a couch on your porch. I've been to Pittsburgh. I've seen them. And just drink and be like, man, did you know that Richard was born right down there? And then people be like, yeah, I remember Richard. And that's what I honestly, it's a free flowing thing. I love to be able to just interact with the crowd. Every single show that I do is always unique to that show. It's never going to be the same. Yes, there's material that's probably prepared, but at the same time, I love to just go like back and forth. I love people from the East Coast because they take it as good as they can give it. And it's just, it's always just a great time. So I always have fun.
I'm always interested when I talk to somebody like yourself, a comic, a stand-up comic, how much prep. It's amazing to me how much prep goes into the things that you do, and we see in an hour or 2 hours. And I'm assuming you write all your own stuff, and it sounds like everything's based on your personal experiences. I just don't know how to make anything about my life funny. I couldn't do it. And so I really look at you with such admiration. Then I look at you and say, how the heck did you, like, you don't seem to stutter at all. And I don't know how you did that. It was just an amazing thing that you did. And you used the negative to become a positive.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big part of when I first had, after I came off of AGT, that was such a big part of like, just, brand and what and I never I'm comfortable if I stutter. I'm comfortable if I don't. The more and Bubba probably knows this, but the more you try to control it, the worse it is. The more you try to just like focus on exactly how to say the thing all the time. And so it's really kind of like a finger trap where you're just like, all right, I have to kind of like relinquish a lot of the control, knowing that the conversation or anything that I want to say might not happen. And that kind of takes a lot of pressure off of making sure that it does. And so it's, yeah, it's I never wanted to be somebody who was known as the stuttering comedian, and I understand that brand is such a big part of things, but I made a decision a long time ago that I wanted to try to improve my quality of life, and so I went through numerous amounts of numerous therapies to try and improve it all.
Drew Lynch, how can people follow you on social media?
Sure. Yeah. So my OnlyFans is it's not the same as my name. I go under a pseudonym, which is smart. No, it's the Drew Lynch, just everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the stuff.
And then everybody get off of their couch on the porch and go see Drew Lynch, Carnegie Library Music Hall of Homestead, Friday, June 7th. Hopefully everybody will come out and see you. And thank you for being on Car Stars and everything in between.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.